welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here with us inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios in Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday for sales and service. Go to GreatLakesHondaCity.com right now to get their inventory and get that sneak peek. I am here picture in picture with Casey Keeler, the head coach of the Temple Owls football program, and we are speaking here during the 2025-26 season. We had the opportunity to talk going into the season, and now we are right around the midpoint of his first season here with the Temple Owls as their head coach. Casey, how you doing?
Dan, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I feel like it was yesterday, and I also feel like it was like 10 months ago that we sat in Charlotte.
It's funny. It's funny how a football season does that. Like again, it seemed like we were just talking at down in Charlotte, a couple of days ago, and here we're halfway through a season, and a lot has happened in the last number of months here.
Yeah, when we take a look at this season so far, I mean, the win-loss column, I've done this long enough, you've done this long enough to know that if people are truly paying attention, it goes beyond the win-loss column. So at this midpoint area of the season, beyond wins and losses, what have you seen developmentally from this Temple team from day one to day right now, as far as how they've emerged from certain things, grown from certain adversities, and just where those positives are?
Yeah, so when we got here, we didn't throw a hand grenade into the locker room. Not my style. A lot of these kids came here to get Temple degrees. I actually still believe that's an important part of, this process. And so we kept a lot of the guys that, wanted to stay. And then added some selected, transfers and those kind of things. And, it was really a matter of like them buying in. And we've gotten really close over the last 10, 11 months or so. And I've been really proud to see the progress we've made from day one to now. This is a program that hasn't won more than 3 games the last 5 seasons. And so when I walk in and talk about getting to a bowl game, winning a bowl game, getting to the conference championship game, winning the conference championship game, all those kind of things, I think maybe, some of the people from the outside might have been like, I'm not sure why you put that pressure on yourself, where the people on the inside know that they need that motivation to know that we're not talking about being good 3 or 4 years from now. We're talking about doing this right now. Yeah. And so I think they bought in, and I think, we've progressively gotten better. And so we're sitting here 5-3 with 1 loss in the conference, and in position where we still control our own destiny. But we have some really tough teams coming up.
Yeah, and you spoke about, like you said, coming in here and having a vision of positivity that some people from the outside looking in might not understand. But you obviously don't come into a program for them to lose or for them to suffer. You come in for them to elevate themselves. And we've seen successes. We saw what Al Golden did when they were a part of the MAC, getting to records of 8-4 and 9-4 on multiple occasions, and then going into and then Steve Adazio obviously had them at 9-4 their last season in the MAC, and then we saw the success of Matt Rule getting a team to 10-4 in back-to-back seasons, and then Jeff Collins having winning records. And then Rod Carey came in, and obviously there were some struggling moments outside of the 8-5 season, and Stan Drayton, like you said, looking at 3-9 seasons. But it's not atypical that within the last couple of decades, we have seen this be an 8, 9, 10 win team.
Sure.
So,
yes.
I mean,
I agree. And that's one of the things that, I explained to everybody. There's been greatness here.
Yeah.
I mean, a decade ago, we're playing Penn State, beat them. We have Notre Dame on the schedule later in the season. We're both nationally ranked. Game day comes, sold out crowd. Probably should have beaten Notre Dame that day. So, yeah, like I said, greatness has been in this program. 198 NFL alums, 81 draft choices, 4 first-round picks, a Heisman Trophy runner-up. So all those things, like I knew those things. And so when I came back here, I felt like we can get this going again. And I think a big part of us getting this going is, the recruiting process and us getting back to the Connecticut down to Virginia out to Ohio footprint. Not that we're not going to take some guys from North Carolina or California or Florida or Georgia, but the base is going to be from that area. And if you look back when they were great, that's where the base was from.
Yeah.
And especially with the portal now, you want to make sure that you have as many local kids as possible because that eliminates one of the reasons why they want to go in the portal. One of the reasons why they want to go to the portal a lot of times is I like to get closer to home. Well, we got you closer to home now. So I think we have a good approach, and the kids have bought in, and it's going, I think it's going well.
Yeah, and when we talk about that success and the success that has come with this team, we've also seen the fact that, and you and I talked about this a little bit, but there's been so many coaching changes, right? Al Golden got good, things started working out, he moved on. Steve Adazio, the Boston College job opened up, he moved on. Matt Rule, we've seen him go from Temple to Baylor to the Carolina Panthers, now to Nebraska. Jeff Collins went down to Georgia Tech for a time. So we have seen these moments happen where when success finally does click, Temple seems to, have this switching of the coaches. And so for you, I know you and I spoke about you're not just going there for a spell, you actually see a long runway, and I'd love for you to go into that a little bit more.
Yeah. So I have three grandchildren in Wilmington, Delaware, and my daughter and son-in-law are there. And you only can FaceTime so much with the grandkids.
Yeah.
Then it's like, hey, and then they're off. So the fact that we could come back home was a big deal. And so we built a house. This is home. Any move that's going to take place at Temple football is going to go through Janice Keeler because my wife of 40 years is really excited to be back, near family and in the region again. So again, I think Temple gave me a great opportunity. I think this is a great job. I don't think a lot of people saw it that way. I see it that way. And I think we can get this place back to the greatness it once had. So, yeah, I mean, this is a perfect spot for me.
And when we go back to that history, like you said, coming back to the region, back in 86 to 92, Rowan assistant coach and the head coach from 93 to 2001. Then we saw you in Delaware for over a decade, from 2002 to 2012, before you went down to Sam Houston State to become the head coach. I want to go back to that time in Delaware because you keep talking about coming back to the region. You found success with the Blue Hens. You did some good things there. We've seen them now as an FBS school, so they've risen up the ranks, and I believe that you and your staff of history is a part of giving them that portfolio and that exposure. So when you were in the Northeast at the time, what was it that really spoke to you that made you want to come back?
Well, first of all, I was never going to leave Delaware. I mean, that was a contract issue. Had some people in the administration above me that didn't like the contract that we signed. It was a 10-year deal. Kind of funny. I signed it. They signed it. They didn't like it. I don't know how that works. But I was, dead man walking there for my last couple of years there. And it's a shame because I love that place. I mean, I bleed blue and gold. I mean, I am a Blue Hen inside and out. And, I took a year off and really did a lot of introspective thinking, and also got a chance to work at NFL Films with Ron Jaworski and Merle Hodge and Sal Palantonio and Greg Cosell. And then I worked for ESPN, as a commentator. And I thought I learned so much from that experience. But what I also learned, too, was I miss being around the players. I mean, I call my kids. I just missed that interaction. And, it wasn't long when, my wife would travel to every game with me. And I remember the very first game. We're doing a Connecticut Towson for ESPN, and Towson wins. And we're all done, and she's in the press box with me, and we're walking out, and she goes, "Do you miss it?" And I look down, and Ambrose is there with his team celebrating. I'm like, I missed that. I really do. And then I look over, and the head coach from UConn, Coach Pascaloni's there, and I say, but I don't miss that. I don't miss those tough losses. But the bottom line was I really missed, being around the kids. And I was really blessed that, Sam Houston gave me a chance to come in and, be part of, what, Willie Fritz had just left. And then, we took it to, new heights. But we always wanted to see if we could get back here. And when that Temple job opened, I remember we were out to dinner. We had a Friday night game against Liberty, beat them. We were out to dinner Saturday, her birthday. And Dan, she cried for an hour. I mean, like after I told her like, hey, we're going back home. And I'm like, we're out to dinner, it's her birthday in a beautiful restaurant. And I'm like, I know why you're crying, but no one else around here knows why you're crying. And but it's just again, this is families back here, and again to be near the grandkids again, just awesome. And my daughter is awesome.
It's funny when you say those moments because you've been a very real person, and I love finding that, and I yearn for that in every conversation I have because you and I live in a relationship based world, but a lot of people have become transactional. And when you talked about your wife crying, I felt two tears. I had a tear
Yeah,
at each eye because
yeah,
I mean there's that genuineness to you, and your reputation, to your credit, Casey, preceded you because I had people talking with me about how great you are and how available. And it's just, you don't approach this like, oh, I'm a big ego. I'm this big time head coach, this and that. It's just, you approach things in a way that's very real, very human, and very timeless. And I want to give you credit for that because that's going to go beyond your win-loss column.
well, I appreciate it. And how I treat our players, and I call them my kids. I treat them like my own son. I treat them like my own daughter. Like how would I want them to be treated? Now, I was hard on them. I mean, very demanding on them, and so was my wife. I mean, we were, I would say strict parents, but like, there was a bottom line to, and but I'm the same way with my players. But they know there's love there. They know I care about them more than just, playing this football game. And them getting their degrees and them having a chance to go on in life and be successful, those things are really important to me. So I think they saw that. I think the players saw that when I came in, that I was very genuine. I wanted to be involved with them. I wanted to have relationships. I always say that if this is just a business transaction,
Yeah.
your ceiling is only so high. But if you really care about each other, boy, you can take this to new heights. Same thing when things aren't going your way. When things aren't going your way, you can survive those rocky times if there's relationships. You can't survive those rocky times if there's no relationship. So it's how I coach. It's how I've always done it. It's who I am as a person, and it's worked for me because I think it's always important to be genuine to who you are.
Yeah, and that genuineness that you carry when you are building those relationships, when you are recruiting, when you're talking with the players that are on your team, speaking with your staff, how have you seen that environment kind of react to the type of human being that you are? Tough love, but still love, real, genuine, relationship based. Hey, yeah, if you don't complete a pass when you should have, we might have a conversation, but it's going to be love from me, not I hate you,
Right.
go sit on the bench. It's going to be, hey, how can we get this better? So how has the environment of Temple reacted to you?
Yeah, I think we had a very interesting situation. I think, the art form of being a head football coach is to react to your environment and things that happen. And I always say every obstacle is an opportunity. And we came out against UTSA and we were sleepwalking. I mean, I was embarrassed. I mean, it was low energy. It was not who we should be. And, we went into that locker room at halftime. I told them, I said, I've been with you for 10 months.
Yeah.
This is the first time I can say I'm embarrassed to be your coach. And I said, we're going to get this fixed. And I was pretty adamant about some things about, how we're going to approach this game and our energy and those kind of things. And I made sure that the trainer had the paddles ready to go in case they had to resuscitate because I got pretty emotional and I got, after them pretty good.
Yeah.
And they responded. And a number of the players said afterwards, like, it bothered them that I was disappointed in them. I think that's pretty powerful. When your players are upset because you're disappointed in them. And then, we played Tulsa this past weekend. And we don't get in from the 3-yard line on 5 plays. And then we let them drive the ball 97 yards to score, 14-point swing going into halftime.
Yeah.
Different situation. And I got them in there. I'm like, listen, look, give me your eyes. Take a deep breath. Relax. Let's go fight these guys the second half. We're going to be okay. We're all going to be okay. So I think that's the art form of being a head coach, is understanding the moment. And that moment at UTSA at halftime, that changed us from that point forward. because we've not played that low energy thing anymore. We've always come out with great energy and better discipline and all those kind of things because of a conversation we had at halftime at UTSA. So that's why I love this sport so much, because it's the ultimate team sport. The X's and O's are important, but the culture is important. Seizing those moments, either in the locker room or at practice or on the sideline, those moments. I mean, I love that art form that this is. So again, it's worked for me, and I'm gonna keep on doing it.
Speaking here with Casey Keeler, the head coach of the Temple Owls, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. You can tell me if I'm completely wrong about this, but when I think of Temple over all these years and covering this team and in the coverage of the American and even before the American for Temple, when I think of the Temple Owls, I picture a movie. I picture, like those that gym that's got the natural light coming in, little dust on the ground, little scratches on the door and whatnot. I see kind of this. It doesn't have to be flashy. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have to be, selling on the, $1 million this, $1 million that, and this is what the jerseys look like. I've always
Right.
seen Temple as kind of that like comeback story, that rise out of the ashes. It's just a different place. It's gritty. And like I
Yeah.
said, you could tell me if I'm wrong, but I think of like the movie Coach Carter in a way, because I think about like we're putting this team together and you may not believe in me right now. You may not believe in yourselves, but we're going to make something out of us. And we might be this one nook or one cranny in this country, but we're going to really put a stamp on this thing. And I know you're in Philadelphia, but at the same time, there's like this small town come up story and just this grittiness to it. And like
Yeah.
I said, that's what I feel when I think of Temple.
Well, a Temple tough is a real thing. I mean, Temple is tough. I mean, and there's a hardness to us. At the same time, like one of the first things I did, Dan, is I met with every player individually. It took me 4.5 days. And I thought it was just so powerful how much these kids love coming to this institution.
Yeah.
They love it. Guys didn't want to go in the portal. It was like, I want to get this fixed. I'm not going to run away from this. I'm gonna help get this fixed. I want to be part of the legacy that gets this fixed. So, and then we've recruited at a very high level. I think our recruiting class is ranked 75th right now. I mean, in terms of committed players, and it's second in our league and third in all of G6, which is pretty impressive considering that we have nothing to. We're banking on what they did in the past, nothing that we've done ourselves. But it's a great story. You get kids on campus, they love it. You get them with our players, they love it. You get them in Philly, they've never seen Philly this way. So, but there is this special, like, we're at a unique place. This is like no other place. I mean, we got Rocky Balboa. We got, fans throwing snowballs at Santa Claus. We got the Phillies who want to fire their coach after they've won the pennant 2 years in a row. But they win the World Series. But that's what they are. I equate it to this. When I was at Delaware, we won the national championship in 2003. We opened with New Hampshire. Chip Kelly's the offensive coordinator. They're doing stuff like I'm asking the referees, can they do that stuff? I mean, it's brand new, it's very funky,
Yeah.
and we have a great game. We knock their quarterback out 10 plays into the game. Backup comes in, goes 10 for 11. We lose by a field goal in front of one of the biggest crowds in the history of Delaware Stadium. Just won 15-1, just won a national championship. They boo us off the field. And I remember being in that locker room with my team and said, "This is who we are," because we're basically a suburb of Philly. Delaware is, and has a lot of Philadelphia-based sort of mentality, and that's just who we are. They're happy when you win, but when you lose, you make their day sad. They don't want to be sad, so just like don't take that personally. Take that with a sense of like, what they care. They really care. And that's what I'm finding here. It's the same thing. I mean, the alums, just really care about getting this back on track. And that's what we're trying to do.
Sustainability is an important thing. And like I said, we've seen Temple have positive moments and then the coach moves on, negative moments and the coach is let go. How does Temple become a place of not only positivity, but sustainability?
Yeah, I think one of the key things for me is that My goal, like, is, finish my career here, and then I want to be part of this. Like, I want to stay involved as a senior analyst or whatever I may be, because like I don't want this thing to do that. I
Yeah.
want this thing. I want part of my legacy to be that I got Temple back on track, and it just continued to get even better when I left. So I think part of it's putting together a staff that is sustainable. That when I do eventually walk away, I have some people that are guys that you could hire to be in that position. Because I thought about that. I thought about, like, I don't want, when I love what I do, and I don't foresee a time where I'm not going to be doing this. But you don't live forever, and at some point, my wife's going to say, okay, let's spend some more time at the beach, and I get that. But when I leave, I want to leave something behind, and what I want to leave behind is the sustainability, where Casey Keeler moves on, they just move right into that next season. And so I think that's going to be putting together, a great building in terms of our recruiting department and our GM and our chief of staff and all, and then the coaches, and then having the right person there, that when I move on, we have somebody who could step in and be that guy.
Well, and you mentioned the general manager role. Some schools have really embraced it. It still feels new to some places. Where is Temple on the importance of the football general manager?
Yeah, so I was one of the first people to have one. I had one at Sam Houston. In fact, my administration wasn't happy that I made him my general manager. Like, well, that's a new term. It's like, yeah, but we need someone that is looking at all the different parts of NIL, um, the transfer portal, just the general running of the team, stuff that I can't get caught up in. And I hired a young guy, Clayton Barnes, at Sam Houston, phenomenal, put together our roster at Sam, comes in here, lives with me. I mean, the odd couple. I'm 66, he's 30, and we lived in Center City for about 5 months together. We got a 2 bedroom. And, because my wife was still transitioning from Texas and then down to the beach while we're getting this house built. And, we spent every waking hour just talking about putting this whole thing together. And he's brilliant. And I don't know if I would have taken the job if he wanted to come with me, because I know the importance of that position, and I know all the moving parts. And I know, like, when our season's over, we're going to be sitting down with our players going over what their contracts are going to look like. Yes, contracts. That's the way this world works now.
Yeah.
And so you're going to be talking to them about, and then also we're like projecting, okay, what we can pay everybody and what do we need to go out and get. And our mentality is retain your players. That is our mentality. You got some good players, and we do retain those players. So it's a whole strategy, and figuring out, okay, who we're going to pay what, and how we're going to do all this. So it's amazing how NFL-ish this has gotten from some standpoints, but it's still relationship built in college football, in my opinion. And so that's where, having these relationships with the players. And if you do have those relationships, sometimes you'll get that hometown discount, because they're like, you know what? I know what I have here at Temple. I like what I have here at Temple.
Yeah.
Why go chance it? And there's so many cautionary tales of guys who were in great situations and went places, and they had 60 catches at one place and they had 2 catches at the next place. Sometimes you don't fit into that offense. Sometimes you don't fit into that culture. If you know you have something really good, try to make that work, and that's going to be kind of our mindset.
Well, and before I let you go, Casey, when we do look at how things have been, you talk about the G6. People say G6, P4. When we're looking at the 10 conferences, the Group of 6, and then the Power, the autonomy group, essentially the ACC, the SEC, the Big 12, and the Big 10, they seem to not necessarily have to look for a quarterback as much. Well, the upper echelon of those conferences, they don't seem like they have to recruit one as much as they have to find one in the portal. And
Right.
so many times, and I tell people this all the time, and I've said it for the entire time the American's been around for the most part, is the statement of, if the American Conference isn't good, why every year does the Power 4, Power 5 back then come after the coaches, the student athletes, and sometimes the entire institution. It seems like they watch people grow within this conference and say, I like that coach. I like that quarterback. I like
Yeah.
that corner. I like that defensive tackle. So how do you not be simply a farm system for the power conferences in this new market?
It's such a great question. And you're right. The American is amazing. You look at the coaches in this conference, the players in this conference, and there's a reason why the Power Four are all looking at us saying, okay, who can we steal? And I think, for us to retain players, it's going to be a combination of culture and a combination of education. It's like, okay, this is the culture. So they don't want to leave this culture because they really like what we're doing. The other thing is, okay, let's educate you. You know that actually the NFL will tell you, if you're an NFL caliber player, you have a better chance of getting in the league by staying where you're at than transferring. That's just statistics. And we can show them all those statistics. And so I think it's just a part of like them feeling comfortable and then us educating them. This is what is out there. These are the risks that you're taking. So yeah, it's tough because what we have found, and you I'm sure have heard this over and over again, there's so many voices in these kids' ears.
Yeah.
It's like, just keep those voices out. If you can develop some trust with us, we'll give you some honest information, and then you can take that information and kind of figure it out. But boy, a lot of people in their ears about stuff that doesn't make any sense at all. Like guys coming in saying, well, I heard I get another year of eligibility. That doesn't work that way. You don't get another year of eligibility. Yeah, again, I think the world we live in, a lot of voices in those guys' ears, and that's a shame because a lot of those voices really don't know the proper path forward to help these young men be successful. And again, that's probably one of the biggest problems we have in this football environment right now.
Relationships versus transactional. So
Yep, 100%.
Before I let you go, Casey, I like to do this thing called rapid fire. Coaches never get to ask questions, so I'm going to change that up for you. We can talk about football or we could talk about anything. You get to ask the first question. What do you got?
Yeah, so your favorite meal. You can tell a lot about a guy who, loves to eat.
Yeah, my favorite meal. Man, I probably got to put together something from, okay, I'm going to put something on the plate from my mom, my dad, and my grandma's because my grandmas have passed. So my grandma's stuffed shells on my mom's side. So G-Mama's stuffed shells, Gammy's chicken soup, my mom's turkey rolled, and my dad's steak on the grill.
That's awesome.
My question back to you, if Temple was going to get an NIL deal for Casey Keeler, what restaurant would it be at, and what meal would be the Keeler?
Oh, geez. I don't know if it's wise for me to signal one place in Philly but it would be I like my fruit de mare.
Okay.
It's so funny when I got to Texas and I told the kids this. I used to do something with them. I'd say, okay, we have death row right here. Like we were like I could see death row from my office at Sam Houston. And so let's say like we're on death row and you're going to have your last meal. What are you going to get? And then I would say like, I'm going to order fruit de mare. And they're like, what's fruit de mare? Well, it's all the mussels and clams and shrimp and those kind of things and pasta in a red sauce. Yeah. And I love carrot cake. God, I love me some carrot cake. So I have a little piece of carrot cake on the side there, and a nice garden salad to start off with. But yeah, so I've done the death row meal with my players for 11 years at Sam Houston, and they thought it was crazy, but we used to have a lot of fun, just laugh about it.
I remember now that you said it again that we talked about fruit de mare when we were in Charlotte together, and I love it too. What's your next question?
Yeah, so hobbies.
Huh.
What is this a hobby or is this something that like my hobby is football.
Yeah.
My job is football. It's like, and that's one of the things my wife said to me one day. She said, you kind of lost your hobbies. You used to fish off the dock all the time. You used to go play golf on those 27 holes we have around the house. That's when we lived in Texas. We lived on a golf course. And I said, yeah, we're doing more because my job is required that you really don't get a lot of time away from football. So like, what's your go-to?
Well, my work is my play, to answer your question back. I will be 22 years a broadcaster in the beginning of November. And starting my own company over 13 years ago is one of God's greatest gifts that he's ever given me, was to build something literally out of the air in front of us.
Yeah.
So I would say, man, my hobbies, I mean, I love what I do and I do what I love, but I have been singing and doing comedy my whole life. And so I'd probably say writing some songs, singing, finally learning how to play my guitar that's in my studio. And I would honestly, I just like taking rides. And more than anything else, it's like, you speak for a living, so what do you love to do? I love being at home. I'm looking at her off camera because she's with me. I literally love just being with my dog. And I don't
Yeah.
care what I do with her. I just love, because she's my kid. I mean, that's my daughter. She's my ride or die. And so, yeah, I think when it comes to her, anything, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, we had lost our heart dog about 3 years ago,
Oh,
three and a
I'm
half years
sorry.
ago, Georgia Rose. And like you talk about the ultimate dog. And so my wife and I have now been talking about, 3.5 years later, are we ready
Yeah.
to bring another one into our family? And we want to for a number of reasons. We want to rescue one, but at the same time, we knew how painful it was losing our girl. So yeah, I can relate to the dog big time.
Well, God bless Georgia Rose. I'm sure she was
Yep.
very much loved and continues to be.
Yes.
My question back to you, Casey, I'm going to ask you to be a screenwriter because I dabble in, because that's something that's in my world as well that I'm trying to work on more. If you were to create a screenplay for you and I, it's going to take place in Philadelphia. I need to know what genre of movie it is. You have to give yourself a job and give me a job. And then what's like the shtick of it? Like why should people go see it? So what job do we have? We can't have the jobs we have right now, but we're in Philadelphia. What's the story? Who are we? Why is it important?
All right. So it's a comedy.
It's a comedy, okay?
Yep. And what we're gonna do is we're uh, witness protection program. We're gonna run a witness protection program.
Okay.
Okay. And the stories are all the crazy crap these guys do, like in the witness protection program. It's like, you're in the witness protection program. You can't be selling cars on TV in the witness protection program.
Yeah.
So that would just be all these comical like situations. I would be your boss, obviously, and I'd be sending you out, and you'd be coming back like, can you believe this one? You believe this guy, like the mafia is looking for him,
Yeah.
and he's doing this. What's he doing? So yeah, yeah.
Well, that was probably the best answer I've ever received of that type of question. And being an Italian Hispanic, I definitely would be going out there going like, the mafia just came out like recently in reports about the NBA, right? So like they're still here. So yeah, that would be good. I don't think there's a better way to end. So with that being said, Casey Keeler, go out and support your Temple Owls. Casey, like I said, your reputation preceded you and it was positive. I sat down with you, it was positive, and I know that our relationship will continue to grow from here, but I just want to thank you, and I respect you, and you're really one of the people that I hope I get to talk to more often than I don't.
All right, Dan. Appreciate you, man. Great seeing you.
All right, take care. Have a good day.